So we're back into the Gospel of Matthew, and here it's chapter 22. And as we wind through, we can see that the time is growing short for Jesus to fulfill the law and the prophets. We can see that the religious leaders are really starting to press in on Jesus. We can see that Jesus doesn't waver from his commitment to serve the will of the Father and continue to heal, continue to cast out demons, and continue to teach. And so, where we pick this up in chapter 22, it says, once again, Jesus was speaking to everyone in parables. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. Well, he sent his servants to call those who he had invited to the banquet, but they refused to come. Again, he sent other servants and said, tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been killed, and everything's ready. Come to the wedding banquet. But they paid no attention, and they went away, one to his field, another to his business, basically just doing life in this world. The rest, well, they were definitely different in mindset. They seized the servants, they mistreated them, and they killed them. Well, the king was enraged. He sent his troops. He sent them to destroy those murderers and burn their city. Then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, and those that I invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the crossroads and invite to the banquet as many as you can find. Go into the world and invite anyone that you can find. So the servants went out into the streets and they gathered everyone they could find, both evil and good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. When the king came in to see the guests, he spotted a man who was not dressed in wedding clothes. Oh, he said, friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes? But the man was speechless. Then the king told his servants, take this man, tie his hands and his feet, and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but only a few are chosen. Then the Pharisees went out and they conspired to trap Jesus in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, teacher, we know that you are honest and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. You seek favor from no one because you pay no attention to external appearance. So tell us, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Jesus knew the evil intentions within them. And he said, you hypocrites, why are you testing me? Show me the coin used for the tax. And they brought him a denarius. Whose image is this? He asked. And whose inscription? Caesar's, they answered. So Jesus told them, give to Caesar then what is Caesar's, but also give to God what is God's. Well, when they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and they went away. Well, that same day, the Sadducees, these were unlike the Pharisees, the progressives, the more liberal-minded Jews. And they said, well, who say there is, they believe that there was no resurrection. And they came to Jesus to question him, and they said, teacher, Moses declared that if a man dies without having children, that his brother is to marry the widow and raise up offspring for him. This was their tradition. And now there were 7 brothers among them. The first one married and died without having children. So he left his wife to his brother, the next in line. The same thing happened to the second and the third and down to the 7th. And last of all, then the woman died. In the resurrection, now remember, the Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection. They thought there was no resurrection. So they're testing Jesus. Well, in the resurrection, Jesus, whose wife will she be of the seven? All of them were married to her. And Jesus answered, you are mistaken because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God. In the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. Instead, they will be like the angels, those angels in heaven. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God said to you? I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. But when the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they themselves gathered together. Okay, well, he shut those Sadducees up because they were different denominations and they like to kind of argue who was superior. So they knew that the Sadducees got silenced. So one of them, an expert in the law, today we'd call him a Bible scholar or somebody who went to seminary, he tested him with a question. Hey, teacher, which commandment then is the greatest in the law? And Jesus declared, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. But he continued, he said, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. While the Pharisees were assembled, Jesus then questioned them. What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he? Is he David's? And they said, yes. And Jesus said to them, how then does David in the spirit call him Lord? For he says, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. So if David calls him Lord, how can he be David's son? And no one was able to answer a word. And from that day on, no one dared to question Jesus any further. And that was chapter 22 of Matthew's account in his gospel.